So welcome. This is the June Tuesdays Together meeting. I'm Elizabeth. Hello. And I'm going to be recording this session. So what we're going to do first is we are going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with you. And I am going to show you my presentation. All right, here we go. So workflows, systems, and automations. I did some research. Oh my gosh, I did research on this from Tuesdays Together because they have a guide out this month. So I did a little bit of work on that and I went through it, pulled a few things out, and then I also used my own stuff from just all the things that I do and all the automations that I use in my daily life because there's a lot of them. So, and actually I'm gonna just do something real quick because I cannot see if anybody is trying to join. So let me just pull that up really quick. Yeah, people are trying to join. Okay. All right, let me see if I can do this a different way. So we might have to just, okay. Can you see the presentation and like not the slides on the side, right? You guys are good. You can just see the presentation. Okay. We'll just kind of start with that. And all right, so I'm Elizabeth and we're gonna talk about workflows and automation tonight. I have a ton of tools that I use and I also have a ton of ideas for workflows because sometimes I think we miss workflows as we go forward and we kind of just make processes and then they just happen. So I'm gonna show you some of the things that I use and some things that you can use as well if it so interests you. And I've been around a lot, you guys, so some of you know me, probably most of you do. And I solve a lot of problems. I'm sometimes a genius, I don't know, maybe. But yeah, that's me. And all right, so workflows. Let's talk about workflows. I was looking at the book, the booklet for this month, and they actually said that workflows were the steps, which I thought was a really great way to break it down. They have 3 different things that they broke down, and the first one was workflows, that they're just the steps. It's just, you know, starting with 1, 2, and 3 and really having that process laid out kind of in your mind in a really simple way. Oh, there we go. The next thing was systems, and those are the tools that help you complete the steps. And then the final piece was the automation, which is the thing that runs the steps for you. So this is what we want to get to, is having everything automated as much as possible without losing, of course, our brand identity and, you know, having it be too impersonal, because sometimes it can be impersonal. So 3 good components of automation. I saw this little breakdown in the guide and I thought it was really great. Is that the process is your high level experience where you share with your clients on your website or in conversation. So I thought this was a good place to kind of give examples of what I would consider, you know, this to be. So I have people that come to me and they tell me what they want for their business, or if I'm looking at it myself, I'll say, I want my client to be able to easily pay online, sign a contract without having to print and scan. So that would be a process that I want them to go through to actually work with me. It's only part of that, you know, whole conversion process, but it is a piece of that. And then the workflow is that those are the detailed tasks and steps required to execute the process. So I kind of wrote down client inquiry, we have a call, there's a follow-up, maybe we book an agreed upon date, and then I create a proposal, set up the signature, create the invoice, send both to the client, and then send the day of checklist. That's kind of my workflow for that process of having my client sign up, pay online, and everything is done. And then the system is the orchestration of all the tools and the automation and the streamlining. And then I just listed a bunch of tools that I would use to complete the steps above, which really are the process that I'm trying to get people to complete when they come and work with me. So this is just a breakdown of kind of what they had, and I just added my own examples. And I will have these, this slideshow if you guys want it as well. All right. Okay, so workflows. I always try to talk to people about this because when they think of a workflow, they think of like this big process. Like it's huge. They have to go from beginning to end with a client. It has to be every single touch point. And sometimes there's different touch points for different clients and all this stuff. So I try to get clients to look at it in small chunks and small segments rather than looking at it as a big picture, because it will eventually make a big picture, but initially it has to start with small pieces. And then you want to use the automation and write things ahead of time so that you can automate everything. And then, but still have that brand voice out there without it sounding cheesy, because I don't know how many emails I've gotten where the person wrote them like 6 months ago, which is fine, but their brand voice was like, "Hi, do you want to buy a car?" Like, it was very cheesy sounding, even through the email. And so I try to also be authentic with the brand voice, but not go overboard with it, just because you're trying to make it personal still. And then taking a walk in the client's shoes can really help you to, find that arc and find out what those pieces are within the process. Because sometimes if you look at it as a client, then you might say, "Oh my gosh, I really hate it when companies do this," or a lot of companies I deal with miss that. And so then you can actually kind of step into the client side of things and go, "If I was a client, I would want this and this and this and this," rather than looking at it from the business owner side going, "I need to do this, this, and this, and this." So then you can kind of marry the two together and have a full, great process that you can then turn into a workflow. So follow-up would be an example of a process. Does anybody have a good follow-up process? Let's say you've kind of had a conversation with a client or you've gotten an inquiry. Is anybody using systems and automation for follow-up? Okay. And the next piece I was going to say is the consultation. So maybe you're getting them to that point of booking a consultation. This is a piece that I've actually had to deal with a lot in the last few years, because I was booking, like, at one point, I think it was like 2015, I was doing 80 hours of meetings in 1 month, which was 2 full-time 40-hour weeks. And I wasn't getting anything out of it because I didn't have a handle on what my consultation process was like. And so I narrowed it down and I gave people a calendar. So now I use Calendly, which I will show you. And I don't just say, "Oh, here's Calendly, pick a day, time, put your name in, we're done." When you do a 15-minute phone call, once you pick a date, then there are specific questions that you can answer. Now, some of my processes, some of these have like more questions than others. And let's see if this one has a few more questions, because sometimes I put them in there, sometimes I don't. But you can add as many questions you want to Calendly. You don't have to just have it say the standard. And I've had drop downs in Calendly and all kinds of stuff. But typically, before they even get to Calendly, I have them go to my website. That's where they start. And they fill in a form that has 5-10 questions. And then it says, instead of saying submit, even though that's what it does, it says next. And then it takes them here automatically. So they have to book. They feel like, okay, it's the next step. I have to book something. They could leave if they want. I mean, they could just leave off there. But it just gives them that sense of there's another step to complete the submission. Even though the initial step they take to fill in my form is a submission, it's just a different way of presenting it to them so that they will actually do the next step, which is booking the call. And it takes them directly to the 15-minute call, and then they have the calendar right there. So just a little example of a consultation workflow that if anybody says to me, "Hey, I want to talk to you. Can I pick your brain? Can we have a chat?" Doesn't matter. I shove my calendar link at them. I shove my form link at them. And it's not because I'm mean or I want to be impersonal. It's because it's the only way that I can do it. I've had people say, "Do you have time tomorrow?" I'm like, "Here's my calendar link. Why don't you look?" Because I don't honestly know sometimes. And I'd rather have them, if they're like, "Oh, shoot, tomorrow won't work. What about Thursday?" Well, Thursday might not work either. What about Friday? Then it's not this constant back and forth. The process is, I give you my link, or if you insist, I will use yours. If that's your process, then, and I really want to work with you or talk with you, I'll use your link. But I try to keep people on this track. I don't ever really schedule my own appointments anymore because of this. And I see that kind of workflow and implementing that automation has really, really helped me to stay on top of it without losing time and money and just being kind of generally bombarded by people from all angles, you know, social media channels and DMs and emails and all these different things saying, can you meet this time? What about Thursday? How about 2:00? You know, blah, blah, blah. It's just, here's the calendar. You figure it out. I'll be there. Because this only books when I'm available. You can see there's only a certain dates available and certain times on those days. So, you know, it's going to only book when I'm available. And I put everything else in my calendar to make sure that this is correct all the time. Let's see. Where do I list my prices? No, this is not billable time. So this is my free 15-minute phone consultation. I actually don't let people book for billable time. That's when we need to have a conversation. So I'll do 15 minutes for free for anybody, pretty much any time, even multiple times. But then once it gets to a certain point, then it's like, let's book something that's official. And I do have other Calendly links that I use for other things, but they're not visible here. So they wouldn't, and those might be billable, but I never bill them through here. I always bill them ahead of time through my invoicing software. All right, so let me show you something about this. So when you're on, you know, Facebook and you're on your phone, you're doing something really fast. I get texts from people sometimes. I get, you know, all kinds of different information from different places. And one thing that I found saved me a ton of time was this. I don't know if you guys can see this. Can you see this here, this little Apple window? So this is my keyboard in my computer. It's also in my phone. It's connected. So anytime you use your Apple account, it's actually connected together. And I just wanted to show you this version, but it is on your phone too. You can do either one, and it will they'll connect to each other. And this is what I use anytime I want to send someone my booking link, and they're like, "Hey, let's talk tomorrow." I'm like, "Book me space," and I just send that. I'm like, "Hey, why don't you find a time here? Book me space." And it hits, and when I hit space, it actually fills in my entire web address for me. And I don't, book me is not a word I'm going to use like that with no space. That's not something I'm ever going to use. Now for web, when I don't want to type in my web address, I do this as well. So I have one that's .web. And if I type .web space, it'll fill in my web address. Cause sometimes I get the U and the A mixed up and then people are like, your web address is wrong. And I'm like, I know, I can't type, you know? So especially if I'm typing on my phone and I'm trying to go really fast or anything like that. Or if I'm on my computer and I don't have it in my copy paste or something. I also have my Zoom link in here.
Elizabeth, quick question. Can you, I think a lot of us here are Apple Mac users. Can you show us where we would go to set this up? Or
you can actually just go to the search bar and type in keyboard.
Great.
You can go to the search bar on your phone too and type in keyboard, and it should come up through there. Yeah, it's really easy.
Yeah.
And then I do have it for email as well, because sometimes I mistype my email. And then I also have one that will actually set up this one, .coms. Let me actually see what it'll do and put it in the chat here. Oops. There we go. So this is something I send to people if I don't want them like messaging me and I would rather keep the conversation through email. I do .coms and I send that, and it will kind of prompt them to send me an email about that thing. So you can also put like full text in, you know, this thing as well, like bunches, like sentences. And one of the things that I've only got a few of them in here right now, but I've had tons of them in there before. It's just hard to keep track of them all in your head when you're just trying to use them really fast. But using ... is helpful when you want to use a word, and then like 15min is directly to the 15-minute call. But I just used the Book Me one recently, so that's the one I'm using the most. And then of course you have your regular keyboard shortcuts like on my way and things like that. But if you have any of those that you've used or you want to use, you can always add any kinds of them in here. So like the OMW is on my way, and anything else that you use that's like an acronym, you can always go in and just add those in here at any time. And I love the fact that you can use them on your phone, your iPad, and your computer, because I was doing Book Me and I was typing on my computer and I thought, oh dang, that's not going to work. And when I hit the space bar, it worked. I was like, oh my gosh, it came from my phone. So I was so happy. But yeah, so I love that it works that way. They work together. But I hope that's something you guys have maybe never seen before or not used very much. It's really, really helpful when it comes to like having that extra automation in there without losing touch, you know, because with DMs and stuff, it's really hard to like automate all of that. So this is just a great way to fill in some of those gaps, make it a little quicker for yourself. But definitely the consultations is something that I would recommend that you look at your process for that and take off as much of that off your plate as you can by, you know, having a good process and a good workflow to just be like, here's my calendar, you should book me. Here's my calendar, you should book me. And I've had people send me things and go, oh, I don't use those, or I don't want to use your calendar. I'm like, well, then I can't talk with you. You know, I'm busy. You know, but when you're ready, the calendar's there for you. And I've had people just shove their calendar thing back at me, and I'm like, well, okay, I'll acquiesce for you. But you know, sometimes it's good to just have that. And I've also had a lot of people say that how impressed they are that I have that and how they don't have that in their life, and that it's going to spur them to do something about their own calendar situation and their own email situation. And so it's also a little bit of an impressive thing you can use, you know, with clients that you're like, yeah, I'm on top of it. It's like having a VA without paying a VA. So, all right, let's go to the next one. Proposals. So I use a couple of things. I know some of you guys use HoneyBook, but for some of you, it might not be cost effective, or it might not be the right type of platform. I found it wasn't the right platform for me, so I end up using two platforms. I use DocHub, which is right here, and this is my most recent contract. I'll just open this up. I pull them in I create these in Google Docs, and then there's an automation pull in, and then you just add your little tags here where they can sign an initial, and I have an initial here. And then they just sign and date, and I sign and date, and we all have a download of it. But this contract was just signed this morning, and then it tells me when it was modified, when I sent the email, like a whole trail here. And I can see everything of when they opened it, even if they don't ever sign. So this one here, I can see that there was a reminder sent. It was modified, meaning they filled in part of it. They read it. There's another client I had that was like, they read it. It was like every day they read it, but then they didn't ever sign. But it does allow you to go in and like see that trail. And then I also use, where is it? Oh, here it is. I also use Square. And I know a lot of people used to use Square or might have used Square in the past, but they have a lot of stuff now. And my favorite thing from them is their invoicing. And they now have invoices, customers. They do payroll, which I actually use. They also do healthcare and workman's comp. They do contractor payroll as well. So if you're paying yourself, I pay myself a W-2 every week. And then I also pay my contractors through here. And then let's see. I can see all the history of all the reports, all the payroll that I've spent. And let me tell you something about this payroll, because this thing, you know, PPP that came out, all that jazz, you know, like, oh, you can get money, blah, blah. Because I have been paying myself payroll for the past 2 years through Square, which doesn't change the fact that I make the same amount of money. Like I make the same amount of money, regardless, because I'm still taking owner draws and stuff like that as well. So if I'm not making as much in my paycheck, but my, my owner distributions, I can take those. So it kind of makes up for whatever I'm not taking as a paycheck. So I kind of do like a hybrid. But what happened is, because I was paying myself at least some income every single week for 2 years, when PPP came up, I went to my bank, I went to the SBA, I went everywhere trying to figure it out at the end of April. And no one would, oh, we don't have that yet. We're not sure. We don't know what's going on. And then a week after it came out, Square sent me a thing from Square Capital, and because they have a lending side, and they're like, we will do your PPP. Click here, click here, click here. We'll let you know. Here's how much you get. We're giving it into your bank account. We'll help you with the reimbursement when it comes time. Click here, click here, click here, sign the agreement, done. It was like 10 minutes. I said got 2 emails over 2 weeks and took me 10 minutes and I got all my money. And I would have gotten nothing because my bank only just now has started doing PPP through the bank. So I didn't get a ton of money because it was based on my payroll because I don't pay myself that much, but it was something, and it allowed me to keep paying myself payroll over the last 2 months. And even though I was continuing to do that, and you can see here like the drop off was, but that was where I stopped, and then I started back up because I got the PPP, but it was like barely any time in between. But the fact that they've like kept all of it in-house, I don't have to worry about it. And when it comes time for reimbursement, they have all my files. They know everything I've spent. They know everything I've paid. They just say, okay, we're going to use this. Do you agree? Yes, I agree. That's my reimbursement. And that way I don't have to I can do the forgiveness and I don't have to do the payback. So having
Elizabeth,
Square Payroll has helped. Yeah.
Do they pay your payroll taxes for you like one of the payroll companies will do, so you don't have to do that yourself?
Yep. Oh, Jade got it from Square Payroll as well. Yeah. They do everything. So you fill in all the forms when you initially sign up, and it's amazing. I actually have this website right here, beyondthecause.co/tools. I'll give it to you guys in the chat as well. This down here, I have the Square Payroll link. It's just my affiliate link. So if you want to do that, that would be helpful to me. But this has been the best thing that I've ever used. And I love the fact that they pay my reemployment tax for the state and the federal IRS taxes. So when I take my paycheck out, I might pay myself $500, but in my bank account, I only get like $400 because that's the ratio of what the taxes are. And the sooner you set up payroll, the better, because I've been on it for 2 years, but initially my reemployment tax amount, my percentage was higher. Now it's almost like 0.1% because I haven't had any unemployment on myself. So I've never claimed against myself. So after a certain amount of time, your payroll, your reemployment tax for the state of Florida goes way down, and it goes to like basically almost nothing. But then your regular tax to the federal government is the same. And at the end of the year, they look at your W-2 that you've given yourself, that you mail yourself. Like they actually mail it to you. Square mails all of your 1099s and all of your W-2s. They do all that for you, and they'll mail you your own W-2, and then you take that in with your taxes, and all the taxes that you've paid on your payroll every single week, every single month, whatever it is, then they will use that and count that against the taxes you owe. So that comes off the top because you've already paid it in.
If you don't mind, what does that run a month? I use Paychex, and it's getting kind of pricey, and that's why I was curious if it's
to use the payroll system. It's $35 a month.
Okay.
So it's nothing at all, hardly.
Okay.
It's so worth it for me because they do everything, and at the end of the year they do everything, which is awesome.
Okay.
So yeah, and like I said, they have benefits that they'll provide if you want to get get benefits through them. They have different things here. And like retirement, 401ks, all that stuff, which is pretty cool. But I love this system. And like I said, I pay all my contractors through here. And one of the things about the contractors, if I go here, if I want to add a team member, I fill in some information about them. And then I actually do this thing. It says invite team member to create an online account and put their personal information and access pay stubs. And most of my team members do that. Because if I go to my home page, and let's see if it'll let me go all the way out. It won't, but like at the beginning when I signed in, there was a button that said Beyond the Cause, which is the business. And then underneath in a little tiny circle was Elizabeth Pampalone. And it's because I use the same email address, but at the bottom, it shows me all my pay stubs. So that's what a potential, person would see if they were an employee or if they were a contractor. They could see all their pay stubs. When they sign in, they see that circle, they click on it, and then all their pay stubs are there. All the breakdown is there. They can download them all. They can get a CSV, all that stuff. They also do online stores, online checkout, POS, items. You can save all of your items here and they can go right into your invoices. You can create, with the invoices now, you can create estimates. I don't usually do that, but you can also do recurring items. So these are all the recurring people that I've had on my thing recently. Some of them have ended, some of them are still active. You can do all your reporting, and they even have a thing now. Let me go back. They have invoices, estimates. There's a thing in here. There's a new thing called contracts. I don't see it. I don't remember where it is. It's in here somewhere. There's a contract section and you can create contracts through here. Mine is so big now that I need more than what they're offering currently. So I'm still doing mine in DocHub, but once they get contracts that are robust enough for me, that have enough, flexibility, then I'm going over here to just have all my contracting done in here, because then my contract and my invoice will be the same. So you can also do gift cards through here as well. They also have something called appointments. So if you don't want to use Square or Calendly, you can actually use Square for your appointments, and you can actually hook them up to your invoicing system. So if someone books, it'll actually bill them as well. And they also have loyalty points. So if you have people coming back regularly, you can use those. And then they also have a marketing section where you can do email marketing and stuff like that to people who've purchased from you in the past. So yeah, it's gotten very robust in the past several years. And they have a lot of pieces now that if you haven't looked at it in a while, it's really, really good. And the balances thing, they actually let you do same day payment. So it might be a little bit more, like instead of 3%, it might be 4% total. But they'll let you have your balance the same day if you wanted it. And I've done it before, and just to see how it went. And literally as soon as I clicked the button and I agreed to the extra 1%, then it sent me immediately, the money was in my account, like almost instantaneously. It was crazy. So if you're ever in a pinch, it's a really good option as well. I know when you're using a CRM and it has invoicing and it has all your contracts and everything in it, that's good too. I've just found that Square has so many pieces that I've really stuck with them and really just used other components to create my other workflow items, like my, doing my stuff in Google Docs and then moving it to DocHub and sending that alone on its own, and then sending the invoice separately, because it's just like Square does so much for me. So, okay. Any other questions? Sorry, I've been like talking really fast. Oh, that wasn't supposed to be in there. Okay, wait. I got 2 slides in there that aren't supposed to be in there. All right, so let's talk about systems. We talked about tools, so I'm going to go back to my tools page. And I've got Square Invoicing and Square Payroll here. They are 2 separate things, but they're in the same account. So invoicing is free, and payroll is about $35 per account. And I also I use MailerLite. I know I've talked to you guys about that as well in the past. It's my email marketing system. And I do use my RSS feeds from my website, from my podcast, from different places that I use on the web, and I put them into my MailerLite so it does an automatic email for me. I use Social Pilot and Later for my clients for social media automation. I use Social Pilot for myself, so let me show you what that looks like. So right now I have 247 posts scheduled. This is what they look like. They're all in there, all the way through, I think, the end of the year. Let's see. Let me see how. So yeah, they're all in here. I think, yep, December 17th. So they go through all the way through the end of the year. And then I'll start again. I'll probably start in December on my social media in a day and do that one day in December. And then I'll have them for either the next year, or because I did these in like January, or I'll have them for at least the next 6 months. I kind of do them either 6 months or a year at a time. And lately I've been doing this bulk schedule, bulk update. So instead of doing them like one at a time in this system, I'll put them in a CSV file, put all of my information in there, my date, my picture, any links I want, all that stuff in a spreadsheet, and then I'll just upload it and it'll create all of these just like this for every single account. So It's pretty cool that you can do it that way. I also love this product because they have this calendar. And the reason there's not really that many on Wednesdays is because that's when my blog or my podcast goes out, and that's like an automated thing from another system. So I don't put anything on Wednesdays. But the other stuff, all the other stuff is, you know, stuff that I've set up. And then this one that's empty probably was because there's something else on this day that's coming in from an automated system. So, but that's how I do my social media scheduling and automation there. I also use AppSumo. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. So any new systems that I find, I found Social Pilot through here. I found DocHub through here. Paperform, which I use on my website for my forms. It's a really robust form system. I use, what else do I use from here? A lot of things came from here actually that I've used in the past and that I currently use. But this is their system, and these things are super cheap and they're usually lifetime. So if any of these look like something that would be good for you or something that you might want to try, it's worth the, you know, $49 to $100 usually. It depends on what it is. And some of them are great, some of them aren't. Like this one's $49, automatically send and customize emails to your subscribers. So it's kind of like MailerLite. I think they were actually on here at one point. And that's how I found them. But there's just a bunch of stuff on here that, you know, could potentially be the next big thing. Oh, Repuzo is one I've been using a lot. This is free right now, so definitely look at this. Let me show you what it looks like on my website. This is a great tool. This one is free, which is crazy because it actually brings all of your, if I can spell my own name, brings all of your reviews from all of your different places. Like it's your Facebook reviews, your Google reviews, your Yelp reviews, like whatever reviews you want to bring in. Let's see, where did I put it? Let's see here. I just rearranged my whole website. And I think I didn't put it on here somewhere. Of course I didn't. I think I moved it. Let's see one thing here. See if this will show me. Oh, it's not going to show me. Okay. Let me go to it and show you what it looks like. I have to put it back on my homepage because I really like using it. Here it is. So you basically sign in with all your channels. And I did Facebook and Google because like, I have a lot of reviews on Google, but I never use them because it's really hard to actually get them on a website or like in another section. So I put all my links in here. And then you pick the ones you want to show, which is cool. So if there's a bad one, you don't have to show it. And then you can decide what kind of, you know, setup you want it to look like. I did a grid for mine. And then it just displays on your website. Let me see if I can just pull it up here. Because I want to show you. Because I know it's on one of my old page. Oh, wait. I might be on this page and I just didn't know it. Let's see. There it is. It was on this website. I got too many websites. All right, so here's what it looks like. And the other thing I like is that it doesn't show the dates. It doesn't show anything like that. And then I can see more. And it shows me the star rating. It shows me a little picture of the person. And if I really want to see that particular post, I can click on it. And then it shows me the date. But it at least gives me like 6, and then I can see more. And I guess I must have not put in my Google. I thought I did, but these are at least the Facebook reviews that are, you know, recent-ish. I think it pulls the last like 20 or so. I think you can put even like a certain number in there, but that's Repuzo, and that's from AppSumo. And I have that listed on my tools page because this is an affiliate link as well, and I think you get like $10 free or something if you get it, if you use it. But I really like how it like lays everything out and shows it, because not a lot of things will let you do that like on your main website to like actually put your reviews on your site. Okay, let me go back to AppSumo, see if there's anything else cool. But this one's ending soon, so let's see. When does it end? It ends 7 days. So you got to go on there and get it. It's free, but you have to at least download it or, at least sign up for it. Socialmonials is pretty cool. I did try that one. It's kind of like Social Pilot, but it's just the current one that's out there. WP Reset, if you're doing WordPress sites, that's really cool as well. But yeah, I just like a lot of these little things. So some of them are like, this is like a course, but I don't really usually go for those. I try and look at the exact, like the programs and stuff. Cause sometimes, like I said, I end up trying them, and I have had a couple like, Webinar Ninja was on here at one point, like years ago, and Demio and a couple other like video conferencing ones and webinar ones. And I ended up saving them off to the side and using them later because I had a lifetime deal. So it never ran out. Okay, this one looks pretty cool too. All right, so let me go back. Tools, here we go. Is anybody doing membership sites or want to do a membership site? Because MemberSpace is amazing. It's $25 a month, and it allows you to put a membership site on any website. And it takes like 10 minutes to set up instead of like 3 days, which is what WordPress used to take me. But I could do that now on like Squarespace, on WordPress, on anything, really, really fast. Set up, a whole membership system with multiple levels and all that stuff. But it's really, really inexpensive. And it's a great starting point for anybody who's looking to build a membership but doesn't want to go the whole, what's that thing called? What's the one called? I want to say Ticket Leap, and that's not right. The big one, Kajabi. Oh, I couldn't think of the word. Kajabi. Everyone wants to do Kajabi. So this is kind of like that alternative for people who might want to dip their toe in a little bit slower and maybe have it hosted on their own website. I built this for WordPress and Squarespace so far, and I haven't done it on any of the other platforms, but I do know that it works on the other ones. So it's a great, great option. Let's see. Less Accounting is a huge tool that I use a lot. It's my accounting for my non-accounting person, and it allows me to do all my reconciliation in like 10 minutes. It used to take me hours because I don't understand that, and I don't even want to try. So I'm like, don't even want to deal with it. But this allows me to get it done really fast and without a lot of issue. You need a budget. I use this for everything, and I'm going to talk about Profit First towards the end. Drag App. I don't know. Has anybody seen Drag App? This is for your email. This is what Drag App looks like. And this is my email. This is Gmail. It is a Kanban or Kanban, whatever you say, however you say that, Kanban. These are all my emails. And I usually keep this a little cleaner, but I just did a migration, so everything is like shoved into my inbox. But these are my emails, and I have a follow-up group that I drag over here. I have a podcast. These are the podcasts I'm going to be on in upcoming. And if I have anything else I want to follow up on, I can just drag it up here. And if I want to click on it and look at it, I can assign it to one of my team members if they're on my board. And I can also chat with anybody in the side here. And I can see all of the emails from that person just like you would in a regular Gmail. And then I can also drag it maybe to the next. I want to put it in podcast. I want to put it in follow up or to do. I can kind of make it go where I want to go there. And then I have boards that I share with others. Huh?
Is doing their virtual meetings.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. So let's see here. So I have these boards here, these drag boards, and these are actually where I have my colleagues on here, my teammates, and I put them on and I can assign them to them. I can make them different colors. I can put due dates. We can have chats. If I click on this one, there's a lot of chat in here. So all of this is associated with every single email, and I can also add my own tasks. Like this one is not an email, it's just my own task. And I assigned it to Lucy, and this is also my own task, but this is an email. So I love that it's like mixed together, and we don't have to have another tool that we go to. It's like Trello, but like married to Google and married Gmail, and now we don't have anywhere else we have to go. We just go in here. So I love drag. I have a link to it here if you want to take a look at it. It's like I said, Trello and Google had a baby, so it's pretty awesome. And I've been using it for several months, and it's been amazing. Okay, so I use Fiverr sometimes, but just warning, you have to be really careful. I use it for some of my logo refinement stuff, and also for some of my podcasting editing. I use WiseStamp. So if anybody's ever seen my signature, this is from WiseStamp. It's automated to Google. It's amazing. I love it. I get a lot of compliments on it, and I get a lot of people asking me how I did it, and it's just WiseStamp. So I send them the link. And let me talk about Termageddon really quick. I think it's on here. Let me look and make sure. Let's go to privacy. All right, so if you notice it kind of blinked a little bit, it was blank and then it showed it. This is my privacy policy, and this is actually written by, this was written by lawyers, but I did not pay lawyers to write it. There's something that's really awesome called Termageddon, and it's a group of lawyers that create different privacy policies, terms and conditions, all that stuff for businesses, and you have your own account, your own license, and it's $10 a month, and they auto update it because the laws change so frequently that most people are out of compliance by the time they even get it on their website. So this allows you to actually keep it compliant anytime, like you're always compliant. You can actually be fined up to $7,500 per visitor during a time you were in non-compliance. So if you think about that and you get 300 visits a day or 200 visits a day or even 50 visits a day, and there's a period of time of 6 months, 3 months, a year that you're not in compliance, you could be fined a crap ton of money for no reason. And it's only if someone decides to, oh, they don't have a privacy policy, it's not up to date. And there's people out there that just look for that. They just go on websites and they just look for that. So, you know, it's a way to protect yourself, your business. And one of my friends who lives in South Florida, she actually works with them and she helped create a lot of their policies. But I love the fact that they're auto updating so that I don't have to ever worry that my policies aren't up to date. And it even says right here, you can get your self-updating policy. And then I also have the terms and conditions, and I also got their disclaimer. The $10 a month is just for everything. You can get as many of these policies as you want. And then I have their disclaimer here, just like that. And they ask you a series of questions so that it's tailored to your business, tailored to you. And however, like whatever state you're in, whatever industry you're in, they ask you a lot of weird questions, it seems like, as well, but they're really, really poignant, and they can really help you to be protected as a business when you're online in this way. Okay. So yeah, I kind of talked about all of these already. Oh, Alitu is my last one to talk about. Let me pull that up. Alitu is my little podcasting friend. It's a little expensive, but it's so worth it. I can't even tell you. It takes me 10 minutes to create a podcast. So these are my episodes so far. I'll just edit one of these so you can see. Basically, you upload your music. I put my intro clip in. I put my body of my message, my main message in here. Then I put my outro clip, my outro music, and it basically makes an entire episode. It does all the audio leveling. It does all of the sound quality issues. It fixes all of that. And then when I export my episode, it asks me if I want to go to publish. And if I want to do that, then it will actually just send it to Podbean for me and post it, or I can schedule it to be posted. So I don't know if you guys will be able to hear this, but this is the episode. And all these are done on my iPhone. So I don't have a podcasting studio. I'm not doing fancy microphones. I mean, I literally record them on my phone and then shove them in here, and they do enough to the audio to make it sound pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. And then I use Podbean, of course, to host all of them. And that's what sends them out to all the feeds like Apple and Stitcher and Spotify and all that stuff. But this little program is something that I just kind of stumbled upon, and it just does all the editing for me, and I don't really have to do anything, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, those are the systems that I use and how I use them. And so my last thing was kind of, don't be like Larry. Don't be sitting here doing all the stuff manually that you could be doing automated. Because there's a lot more stuff that you can do with automation now, especially in some of the programs that you may not have seen, in a while, or ones you may never even have heard of. So be sure to check them out. And don't worry, like if there's something in here that like I've said and you're like, well, that's not gonna work for me, or I don't know if that would be for me, but maybe I want to try it. I'm like, don't even try it. Like, don't even worry about it, because if it doesn't fit with your workflow and your system of doing things and what you have on your plate, then just don't even worry about it. Don't even try it. It's not worth it. But really look at your workflow and the pieces that maybe you haven't broken down in a while, and look at what the client is experiencing. Because for me, if a client is experiencing something bad and they don't like it, or like today I sent out the link for this podcast, or this Zoom thing, and I had a couple people that couldn't click on the link, and I didn't know why. So for me, that was a bad client experience. And then I realized if I had used a different link, it would have been better. So that's kind of like for me to know next time that I need to do my process differently. I need to add something to my workflow that's different, so that people won't have a bad experience trying to sign up for, the system. So anyway, I just wanted you to like not take too much from this, but like find one or two things you can start with, those little tiny segments, and start chipping away at like making this process better, making this workflow tighter and leaner, and then go to the next thing, making this process tighter and leaner and making this workflow better. And then the last thing I want to share before everybody goes is this was the best automation I made in my business. It changed my life, and it changed my business about 2 years ago. And it sounds a little bit silly, but it's just cash flow automation. So 2 times a month, I look at my cash flow, and I look at my bank account, and then I don't look at it any other time. I don't need to, because this has made it so that I don't have to look at my bank account every 5 minutes and make decisions based on how much money do I have in there? Can I do this? Can I do that? It's all in here and I have enough money for everything. And it doesn't matter what time of year it is or what's happening. And there are times it gets tight, but it's never to the point where I'm like, I don't have enough in there to do the things I need to do. So I use this for my business, and I use it for my personal life as well, which has been really helpful. So instead of saying my mortgage is $1,500 and some dollars a month, it's actually 24% of our income. So I know exactly how many percentage points it is of our income, and I can actually allocate that every single month, and know that whatever's left over, our food bill is this much percentage, and our, the gas we use in our cards is this much percentage. And so I have all those percentages now. So rather than saying every time I go in, I have to make sure there's $1,500 in there for the mortgage, I'm not looking at it that way. I'm looking at it going, I just made $100, $24 of it goes to the mortgage. I just made $1,000, $240 of it goes to the mortgage. Like, it doesn't matter, for me, the amount anymore. It's about the percentage. And if I have more in there, great. And if I should never have less in there though, because I'm always putting 24% of everything into that account for that purpose. So anyway, those are my tips, and I want you guys to go get it. And if anybody wants to talk to me or chat about systems, or just brainstorm about something real quick, let me know. I'm happy to do that. I'm gonna put my little book me in the chat. And if you guys want to book something, feel free. And then again, the tools link is there for you as well if you want to try any of those tools. I definitely recommend at least trying something before you buy it, kind of thing, because you always want to make sure it works for you before you really dive into it too deep. But all those should have good trials on them, and some of them have extended trials because they're my links. So how was that? Was that good? Everybody's still on mute, so I can't really hear anybody, but.
That was really helpful. Thank you so much for hosting this.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to come today and, got some stuff out of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It was really good. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Does anybody have any questions? Anything they want to address, talk about, share?
I do have a question about the keyboard.
Mhm.
You said on the phone, when you're on the phone, you said, I know you didn't say Google it. You said search it.
Yeah. So when you go to your main, apps here, if you pull down, if you go swiping all the way to the right, does that make sense? Like if you swipe all the way to the right, and then at the very top it says search.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And if you type in keyboard, it says keyboard clicks, keyboard general down under settings. If you scroll down some, and under keyboard general, it says text replacement.
Text replacement. Gotcha.
And that's where all of those are. And they're just like they are on my computer.
Then you just create your own little 3 letters or whatever, and then okay. Good.
Yeah, like mine was Book Me. That's my booking link.
Yeah, no, very cool.
And I use a bunch of different ones, but yeah, and if you put them in your phone, they will appear on your computer if you have an Apple.
Yeah, I don't, but at least I could do it on the phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I started with mine too.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? How long does it take to set up Drag app? Mine took me about maybe an hour. It wasn't long. Drag is a little bit of a funny thing because what I did was I set up my 3 boards, and I thought I would need way more boards than that, but I actually didn't. I have 2 main clients that I have a lot of work with, and then I have like everybody else because they're not on retainers like these 2 are. And so the everybody else thing, I just did doing done, and those are already set up like that. And then I just, when I get an email from somebody, let's say this one, for example, then what I can do is I can either, put it in one of my own columns that I created, or if I'm back here, I can just drag it to one of my boards, go to that board, and now I can assign it to somebody. Or I can make it a different color.
So you don't use Trello or Asana at all anymore?
Nope. I just use this. And this is really for me to communicate with my team. If you're using Asana to communicate with your clients, that has a client kind of portal as well, this probably wouldn't work as well because your clients aren't on your own system. But I use this to communicate with me and my team. And then with my clients, let me go back so you can kind of see this here. And then I can also put due dates on it and stuff as well. I'm going to show you that real quick. And I can tag it if I want to tag it something. And then I can also add tasks to this email. And I can add notes to this email. And then I also, like I said, I have my chat here. But now you can see it has a due date and a color. And if you do the little demo with them, like they have a demo they take you through beforehand. And you can also watch all their demo videos on their website. You can see everything you can do with it. There was a few limitations that I wasn't like super happy with. Here's the send a column thing. But they're working on some new things for that. They actually have a Trello board, which I think is hilarious. They have a public Trello board that everyone can see that has all their stuff that's coming down the line. And I could see all the stuff that I wanted was like nearby, like close at hand. So I think this will be pretty robust by the time, they get to those things. But for my clients, the way I communicate with them is I actually make them do this. And this has saved my business as well. I should have showed this more as like an automation too, because this is a process that I've really streamlined. So this is the ticket page that they fill in. Now I have to use Paperform for this because I need them to be able to upload files. So if they need to upload an image or something like their documents or something, not many form companies will let you do that, but Paperform does. They were one of my finds through AppSumo. So I have a lifetime deal with them for like $50. But this is one of their forms. And I just have name, email, company name, what they're requesting. They can put as much text in here as they want, many lines if they want, the date they want it done, and then the files. And then I have like a little optional feedback thing. When they submit this, I get an email with it. And when that email comes in, if it's for a certain person, I drag it. This is one of them actually. This is what the ticket looks like when it comes in. And then I drag it to the section that it needs to go to. And then I assign it to the person. And this one was assigned to me essentially, so I didn't assign it to myself. But if I needed to, I would click on it and then I would assign it to somebody. So that's how our process works. I don't really have another communication way with the client because I found that a lot of people just email me anyway, which is really annoying. So instead, I'm just like, you have to do a ticket first, then I'll reply to you through email. And that's worked really well because as long as they know they have to start with a ticket, then we'll reply back and forth like we've done here on the email chain of it. But then we know where it's coming from, what it's about, and there's no random emails where it's like, hey, can you do this? And it's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, this has no context. It didn't attach anything. And so this ticket system, and I force the ticket system. If somebody sends me an email, I'll reply back to them with a canned email that's actually in Google that says, we will not be answering this email. You need to put it in a ticket. And I make them go and do that. I had one client that did every single task on a single page, like a same page of a website in a ticket, separate tickets. I'm like, no, you need to do like one page. Okay, this is my contact page. Here are the things I want to change. That's one ticket. That's fine. But they were like, change the word this on the contact page. Change the picture on the contact page. Change the email address on the contact page. It was like every single thing. And it was a little crazy, but I finally got them straightened out. So now they just say, here's the contact page tasks, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know. But it gives them leeway to do that. But I do force that. I don't answer emails that are not a ticket if I can clearly tell that it's a ticket, because I've lost them before in my mound of emails that's in my inbox, and I don't like that. But when the other ones come in, I see them and I can actually search for them because they all say new ticket from. So I can search new ticket from and like, boom, like I see all of the new tickets and all their dates, and I can start, moving them to boards and fixing them up and stuff. So, but with my other emails, if they're just sending me a random email, I can't just do that because I don't know what's a ticket and what's not. Crystal's asking, what's the app for the email signature? It's called Wise Stamp. It's on my tools page, the very bottom, and it's called Wise Stamp. Now I have Wise Stamp Corporate or Wise Stamp for Teams, and I use this for all of my team members. So anyone that has an email address through my company, so any of my team people, they actually all have signatures as well, but they're all the same. So they're all formatted the same, all the colors are the same, all the fonts are the same. They're not allowed to change it. They can't change it. They just get what I send them, and then they just put their information in, their name, the phone number they want, and then of course the email is automatically in there. But it's already set up through that. And it's like $6 a year per person. So, I mean, not $6 a year, $6 a month per person or something like that. So it's really, really cheap, especially if like you're just one person, super cheap. But I get a lot of compliments on it. Any other questions? If you haven't seen Paperform, it's pretty cool. Oops. They have a really nice setup. It's kind of like Typeform, but not exactly. Here's a little like demo of what it looks like when you're creating a form with them. And it's kind of like Typeform and Jotform, and maybe what's the other one? Not Gravity, but there's another one that's like a standalone. Like they all had a baby. But you can do some really nice stuff with your forms. Like you can put images and change the colors, and you can really customize them. I don't usually customize mine too much because I'm putting them within a website, so I'm kind of customizing around them. But if you just use them as a standalone, you can use them as a standalone page. They have their own page, their own web address, and you can connect them to different apps and stuff. So it's a really nice platform as well. Any other questions, y'all? This is like my 4th audio video session today. It's like I had 2 podcasts earlier and a summit. And I'm like, I can't talk. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I am going to go ahead. Oh, you have a question, Stacy. Yes. Ask your question. In your calendar posts for social media. Yeah. You can also unmute yourself if you want to. Your times were so specific. Yeah. Yeah, I do post to specific times. I have I've done some research on my own algorithms, and not algorithms, but my own like analytics. And I have looked at when my people are on the most. And then I just kind of post during those times. But that's after you have some analytics to look at. Sometimes when you start a social media page, you don't have any analytics. But if you've had your page for a while, you can look at your analytics and see when your top times are, when people are really on, when they're commenting, when they're looking at posts, when they're sharing posts, and see what those time frames are. Sometimes it's in the evening, sometimes it's at like lunch, sometimes it's in the morning early. So it just depends on your clients. And I would just look at that and then see maybe 1, 2, or 3 of those different time frames. And then I post based on that. Mine are, that's where you're heading with your question. You narrow down. Yeah, I just narrowed down to like 2 or 3. Depends on how many times a day you're going to post. I post once a day. So I don't post more than that. What I've developed is something called algorithm proof social media. And it is, I have it in a kit on my website, and I also do it as a session with clients. It's a day-long session, and we do the 365 posts in a day. And we create all the posts for an entire year to post once a day. All the images, all the writing, all the research, everything is done in one day, all 365 posts. And then we post that to up to 3 platforms. So, and it depends on the platform, it depends on the time for that. But most of the time your platforms are going to be very similar because your client's going to be very similar. So, and even with LinkedIn, you're going to have mostly daily, during the day posts and some night posts, but most during the day. And if your people are on during the day, chances are they're also on Facebook during the day. So that's kind of how I narrow it down. But when we do the social media in a day postings, those are, we usually don't have a lot of analytics to go off of unless they've been in business for a while. And so we kind of muddle through that and just kind of try some stuff. And then later when they go to repost, you know, the next time or the next 3 months or the next year or whatever time frame we're working on, then they can adjust those times at any point. So does that app post automatically without having to move it over to IG? Yes. Well, Later does that. If you use Later, if anybody needs IG that I'm working with, I make them use Later. It's an annoying as heck platform. I hate it so much. It doesn't do near as much as Social Pilot does. The only thing they do, and they do it really well, is to post automatically to Instagram. But it's the only reason I use it. Otherwise, I'm a Social Pilot girl all the way. And that would be my first choice if you don't need to use Instagram. But if you need to use Instagram, and if you have to also remember who Instagram is serving, because some people will say, oh, I need to be on Instagram, I need to be on Twitter. Well, Twitter is men under 35 as a majority user, and Instagram is women under 35 as a majority user. I'm not talking about people who are on it for the sake of business. I'm talking about users, people who are going to be consuming your content. And so while that's not every single person on those platforms, it's a majority user. I actually wrote in my toolkit book, I have an entire list of every single platform up to date for 2020 and every single demographic, who it's targeting, and also the half-life of every post. So people that spend 20 minutes on a Facebook post because they're worried about what they're going to say and how it's going to be received, their post isn't even lasting that long on the platform itself. So, you know, I have a whole list of that, and every single platform that are like the major ones. I think there's like 6 or 7, 6 maybe, 7. And that's in my book, the toolkit there. But yeah, it's an interesting, once you start diving into it, super interesting. And then realizing you might need to be on certain platforms, might not need to be on other ones. I've had people be on like Instagram and LinkedIn. It's just like the weirdest combination, but it's the ones that worked for them. So, just depends on the business. Anyone else? You got me right here. Free. Well, I'm glad you all stayed on here the whole time. I'm proud. Sometimes you get like people that just fall off and they don't stay on. So thank you. Well, I will let you guys go if there aren't any more questions. See what else. Oh, my podcast is coming out on Monday, so they come out every Monday. It's a 2-minute podcast. If you guys want to check it out, it's the absolutemarketingpodcast.com. And there's about 15 episodes in there right now. And I'm on a lot of podcasts. I'm going to have to Google myself again at some point because I'm going to be like Elizabeth Pampalone podcast because I've been on so many in the last few weeks. I kind of have lost track. But I'm excited because they're all starting to come out now. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I see that one's coming out. And I keep getting emails like, here's your link. I was like, getting overwhelmed with all those. But yeah, those are coming out too. I did one today called the Vulnerability Podcast. Very interesting. It told a lot of my story that nobody's ever heard before. So it was interesting. It was very vulnerable.
Okay. I'm going to go.
Yeah, nice to see you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, we're good to go. I'm going to stop the sharing here.